Brothers and sisters, I'm really excited that we're making plans and looking forward to assembling again all together here at the Kensington Woods building. We do have a target date. We plan on having our first assembly back together on Sunday, May 31st. So be praying about that, and we really want to make sure that it goes well. And so we've kind of put a plan together, and we've got some actions we want to share with you that we're doing to try to make sure that we keep everybody as safe as possible. We don't want anybody to contract this coronavirus. And so we've got actions that we're going to be doing, and we've also got some things for you. And it's especially important that you review this information with your family. Make sure that everybody in your family kind of understands, because we want to really be smart about reassembling, because it's in our excitement to be back together, we could be a little careless, and we won't do anything that really puts anybody at risk. Okay, so first of all, we want to kind of emphasize that if you fall into what's considered the high risk category with respect to COVID-19, then we encourage you just to remain at home right now. You can continue to participate with us through these live streaming services that we've been doing. We're going to continue to do those. So again, if you're in the high risk category, and we're going to talk about what that is, we encourage you just to remain at home. We don't want you to make coming back some test of your faith. Okay, the Mississippi Department of Health, they have a webpage, and it states that people at risk for serious illness from COVID-19 are adults 65 and over, and those with a chronic illness such as heart disease and diabetes or lung disease. And we want to show you some of those more the chronic illnesses, chronic underlying medical conditions in a little more detail. This comes from the Center of Disease Control's webpage, and it lists these different chronic diseases. Okay, and so they say that underlying medical conditions that are of significance with the coronavirus, okay, especially it says if they're not well controlled, people with chronic lung disease or moderate to severe asthma, people who have a serious heart condition, people who are immunocompromised. Many conditions, they say, can cause people to be immunocompromised: cancer treatments, smoking, bone marrow, organ transplants, several things that are listed there. People with severe obesity, so that's with the body mass index of 40 or higher. Then people that are diabetics, people with chronic kidney disease, people with liver disease. Now, those aren't in order of significance. They're just listing these different underlying medical conditions. So if you're 65 or older, or you have these underlying medical conditions, then we encourage you just to remain at home and participate through live stream. We want to go through and show you just a few of the different slides or charts that come from the Mississippi Department of Health that helps us understand about really the risk of this virus, who's really at high risk, and just let the data speak for itself. This first slide, it shows the COVID-19 cases in blue, and this is of May 19th, and it shows in red the deaths, and it breaks it down by age group. So if you notice, of the 570 people as of the 19th that have died, only one person was under the age of 30. From the age of 30 through 39, 10 people, 40 to 49, 19, and 50 to 59, 41. So if you add those all up, that's 71 people out of the 570 were less than 60. Okay, so that is about 12.5% of the deaths were by this large group here was only 12.5% of the deaths. So that's why they're saying that if age for high risk is over the age of 65. So if you notice, over the age of 60, even though it's really a significantly lower number of people that have had the virus, it's a much, much higher percentage. In fact, 87.5% 7.5% of the deaths are people over the age of 60. The next slide kind of emphasizes these underlying medical conditions. And remember, this is Mississippi data. Okay, it's from the Mississippi Department of Health. If you look, it lists these. They're roughly in order, but it shows the number one underlying condition is hypertension. Heart disease is next. Diabetes is next. Then obesity, neurological conditions, lung disease, renal disease, immunocompromised, liver disease. Those are those underlying medical conditions that play a really significant role in deaths of people that have this virus. And if you notice, of the 570 people that have died because of this virus, a tiny percent, it's really less than 1% of those 570 people didn't have any known underlying medical condition, okay? So if you have these underlying medical conditions, and if you're 65 or older, then that's why you're high risk, and that's why we want you to really, we encourage you to remain at home and just participate through live streaming. Now, let me list some of the, speak to some of the actions that we're going to be taking to help protect the members that do come back and reassemble. First of all, to be clear, we're going to start off with only having a Sunday morning service at this time. There's not going to be a Sunday morning Bible class. There's not going to be a Sunday evening service, and there's not going to be a Wednesday evening Bible class. Next, we're not going to have any food, any coffee, any water really available for people. So there's really no eating or drinking in the building when we come together. We're going to have seating controls. Bob's going to spend some time, and Chris is going to speak to some of the seating controls that we've got set up, where we can make sure that people in different family groups and individuals, we maintain social distancing when we come together. We're also going to be using the fellowship room as kind of an extra level of controls or additional protection for people that want to come. They're not really in that high risk category, but they do have some concerns that they may be at somewhat of a higher risk. And we're going to use it, and Bob will speak about how we have it set up later. Bob's going to talk about ingress and egress to the building, because we want to make sure we're careful how we come in and out of our building as we start reassembling. Next is, like we did for a couple of Sundays before we ceased assembling, we're going to go back and be using those prepackaged communion units, and they'll be available and picked up as you come in to take your seat. Contribution, we won't be passing plates. There'll be contribution plates that'll just be staged, so as you come in or go out, you'll be able to drop off your contribution without really having to make any physical contact with the plate. Also, just as general information, our benevolence program activities within the building, they're going to remain suspended. We do offer food and clothing outside, so we're not saying that there's no benevolence efforts, but nothing's going to be going on inside the building. And then we're going to be making some efforts to clean and sanitize the building before we meet again, and then after each time we meet. And Chip will speak to you about those. Next, Brian's going to speak to you about actions for you to take. I really look forward to seeing you on May 31st. Be praying about that for us. Thank you.
Hello, church. I have a few bullet points that I'd like to go over to follow from what Tom has said about our coming together on the 31st. Look forward to seeing you all then. And so we'll pull those bullet points up and we'll read over them. If you feel sick, stay home. Utilize live streaming like you have been. If you are in the high risk category, stay home. Utilize live streaming as you have been. When you get here, do not make physical contacts with your brothers and sisters. No hugging, no handshaking, etc. When you get here, practice social distancing and maintain 6 feet between yourself and others. Your family group can be separated from your neighbors by 6 feet as well. When you get here, maintain control of your children. Keep them with you. Utilize the playground if necessary. We ask that you arrive early, 9:40 to 9:50. Give it 10 or 15, 20 minutes so that you can get in and get seated orderly without crowding one another as we're all coming in. Feel free to wear a mask. As a minimum, cover your mouth and nose if you feel a need to cough or sneeze. And Chip has a few points that he will also like to bring to you.
Good to see you, brothers and sisters. We're excited about being able to have the opportunity to get together again. I've got a few things that I want to go over with you on the building and things we have done and things we're going to be doing as we continue to meet. Hopefully these will help you feel comfortable about the building as we're meeting together. Follow along with me if you will. First thing, before we assemble again, we will have the building deep cleaned. That's pretty much every aspect of the building. We're going to change the air filters. We're going to clean the floors, carpetings, and hard surfaces as well. So that'll be done by a professional company, and we will continue after we meet. As we meet, in between each time that we meet, we will also have the building cleaned. All the contact surfaces, all the restrooms, everything where we're going to be inside the building will be cleaned each time before we meet again. We will have a nursery available, but there's not going to be any attendance in the nursery. If you have a child that needs attention that you need to take out, we will have the nursery clean and available for you, and it'll be cleaned in between each time that we meet as well. Also, there will be restrooms available. We'll have restrooms available for those meeting in the auditorium. It'll be separated from those that are meeting in the fellowship hall. So both groups will have restrooms available to them. We'll keep those clean. But if you do need to use a restroom, it will be available for you. We are eliminating right now the use of the water fountains, and also we won't have a coffee station. I think that's been mentioned before, but we're not going to have any of those things available. During the week, obviously the areas that we are going to be using will be minimized. The use will be minimized of those. So the auditorium, the fellowship hall, and the spaces in the building that we will be using when we meet together will not be used during the week very much at all, if at all. Also, you'll notice when you're in the auditorium that there won't be any songbooks, Bibles, pencils, or visitor cards in the pews in front of you. Those are all going to be removed just because it's a high contact surface, something that we can eliminate. So those won't be there. You'll notice that. And then also just to let you know that any of the surfaces, there is going to be some limited use of the building for counseling and things like that, Bible studies during the week. Those will either be done in other areas or those areas will be wiped down and cleaned as well between the times that we use the building. So I hope these things, hope you feel good about the things that we're doing, and that when we get together that we can focus on worshiping God and thinking about spiritual things and not be worried about the building and the cleanliness of it. Now the three of us would like to share a few more thoughts with you.
We hope that answers some questions that you may have had, and we look forward to gathering with you soon. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call the shepherds, call Bob, call Chris. If you have any comments, anything that we didn't answer for you, please let us know. If there's any way we can assist you, we'd like for you to also get in touch with us. And look forward to seeing you soon.
See you soon.
Our shepherds have already laid out who our high-risk people are, and we're encouraging you again to stay at home. But we are going to have some people who are going to show up at our building who are going to have some elevated concerns about the virus and maybe be, I guess, in a higher risk area, so to speak. And so for simplicity's sake, for the rest of this video, we're going to use the terminology high-risk people, in regards to our fellowship hall, and that's what it's going to be reserved for. And so as we explaining how to get in and out of the building safely, we're going to use that terminology, but don't mistake it for the people who are labeled as high risk by the CDC and that we're encouraging to stay home. So hope you stay with us. Yeah, we're so glad that you're going to be able to come worship with us. However, entering the building, we are going to do it a little bit different than normal. When you're facing the back of the church building, the door to the left is going to be designated for high-risk individuals. The fellowship hall is set aside for high-risk individuals to enter in to have an alternative worship area, and so we want to keep it as clean as possible, but also keep people as secluded from each other as possible. So if you are high risk, then we'll ask that you enter into this left door. Someone will be there to open it for you. If you're not high risk, then you'll have the opportunity to go to the right door or the one from up under the awning. We can't wait for you to get here, and we're just trying to make some ways a little bit better for our people who are high risk. As you enter into our building, you're going to notice that there are some things that are different. A lot of our rooms are going to be off limits temporarily, and we're just trying to keep things traffic down in those rooms so that way we don't have to clean them again. So you can see that many of our classrooms are closed, as well as you can notice our signs that we have up, as well as our upstairs are going to be closed. So please observe those signs and take those precautions and stay out of those areas. If you are a high-risk individual, we tried to set up some things to make worship a little easier for you, as well as accommodating for you. So come on with me. These are going to be the only two doors that are going to be open to our fellowship hall. Our fellowship hall is designated for our high-risk individuals. Our other three doors are going to be locked. Come on in with me. And our tables are set up. There's plenty of distance between these tables. We can fit anywhere from, we have 13 tables. We can fit anywhere from 13 to 39 people in here safely. And so certainly we're just trying to keep distances and our families. And listen, if you're high risk, or if you're worried about this at all, we're going to have this thing live streamed, and we hope that you'll stay home. But we also have some alternative things. We're going to put a TV on this wall. Chris and Randy have already dry run and tried to work as many kinks out, and we believe it's going to be as seamless as possible. We're going to keep these three doors locked, and if you're high risk, we're going to this hallway will be open for you to come in, and you'll utilize the two restrooms. They're reserved for you at the main entrance. One other thing is we're going to keep our kitchen closed and off limits. There's a lot of noisy appliances in there as well that could interrupt worship. So we hope to make this as accommodating for you as we can. So this is going to be a normal entrance for our people who are not considered to be high risk. However, we also understand that some of our high risk people may need to get dropped off under the awning. But either way, as you enter into these doors, you're going to see that we have a table up and some tape. And what we're doing is we're reserving these restrooms for high-risk people. And so this is our high-risk hallway for people to enter in. And so if you needed to use the restroom from the fellowship hall, you'll be able to come out and come into these restrooms. Also, our nursery is going to be available to our mothers. And so if you need to come out, we are going to have one of our security team going to be here, and they can allow you to have access to the nursery, which will also be cleaned. This also our auditorium doors are going to be open, and we just can't wait for y'all to get here. And we're trying to set up some things to make people feel a little more comfortable as they come.
And church family, when you enter into the auditorium, just know that we're so glad to see you back. And I know you're going to be glad to see everybody, but you'll notice that some of our pews have blue tape on them. Please do not sit in those marked off areas, and maintain the space in between your family unit and those beside of you. So we just want to remind you that when you sit down, try to sit as close as you can to each other so that you're not crowding the pew up and spreading out too far. We just want to make sure we can get as many people in here as we can and maintain the proper social distancing. We just want to keep everybody safe.